Hello, everyone. We're Matt and Lisa Jacobson.
And this is Faithful Life Podcast, Marriage Weekend Edition, where every Friday we take just a few minutes to talk about one simple way for you to enjoy a better weekend together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marriage Weekend Edition. We are planning on having a great weekend together.
We sure are, and we hope you are too.
All right. We're so glad you're here. So we're going to talk today about the subject of encouragement, and specifically of a wife encouraging her husband. And I know that this goes both ways. There are certainly times when a husband can be encouraging his wife, but we're talking about those times today of when your husband is feeling kind of heavy, kind of down, weight of the world on his shoulders, and it's not going well, and he is discouraged. And the amazing role that you can play as that plays out in your home.
You know, I remember the first time this happened in our marriage. I'm not saying it didn't happen earlier, but it was this one day in particular. And it had been building for quite a while because there had been a lot going on at church. There were a lot of problems that you were facing as a pastor. We had some challenges at home and even at the workplace. So it was just all kind of been weighing on you for quite a while. And you walked through the room, and just the way you were walking, your shoulders were kind of stooped and you had this heavy footsteps. And I just looked up, I thought, oh, wow, look at how much he carries. And I guess selfishly, I'd always kind of pictured you would be my encouragement. And I had never anticipated that I would have a role in encouraging you in such heavy times. But I find women write me all the time and saying, what do I do? My husband's spiritually down or just discouraged, defeated. And what do I do? What can I do to help out in this situation?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I think sometimes the most obvious apparent things can just pass us by. We can just miss them. And the fact of the matter is when your husband is in that place, the first thing you can do is call out to God. You can lift him up before the Lord of glory. You can pray for him. And we're not talking about just, pray for your husband in sort of that casual, throw one up and see if it sticks kind of way. But what we're talking about is entering into prayer for him, entering into true supplication and crying out to God to work in his life, to give him a new perspective, to give him a word of encouragement, and that he would hear the voice of God and not the voice of the noise that's tearing him down.
Oh, I think that's so true. I remember in that season I was just talking about literally tears down my face, crying out to God on your behalf, knowing that I couldn't fix everything that you were facing, but trusting him that he could and leaving it there with him, that he could carry you in a way I couldn't carry you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that a lot of wives want to kind of weigh in with words and weigh in with solutions and weigh in with questions. And a lot of times that's not the best approach to take.
Yeah, you don't need to nag or badger him. If anything, I think that makes it worse just by adding don't you want to pick up your Bible, or shouldn't you be at church, or those kinds of things. What would you say?
Well, absolutely. They're often super well-meaning.
Yeah.
Right? They often come from a very good place. But he just doesn't need to hear those instructions, those solutions that aren't really solutions in terms of the moment. And maybe they would be if he just 100% turned his focus to the Lord right then. But sometimes climbing out of those things can be a process. And that's why we need to rely on the Holy Spirit to do that work and take a different posture as the wife in those circumstances. And what you really should do is put your energy toward the things that you have control over that can make a massive difference in his heart.
Okay, like what kinds of things specifically, practically speaking?
Well, first off, when he's down, he doesn't need that corrective instruction. So we're talking about, holding back on those words and those ideas and thoughts and considerations and suggestions that you may have. But think about your countenance. Do you know that you can believe in your husband with your eyes?
Oh, interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Right?
Yeah.
You can. And so your body language, your countenance, and the tone of your voice, all of these things play a massive role. And so if he looks to you, and a lot of times I think of the times that I've been discouraged, and I'll look at Lisa, and if I get from her without words, if I just get this countenance that says, I am with you, I am here, I support you, I love you, and I've got your back. That is so much more powerful than weighing in with words into that moment.
Oh, interesting. Because I I know what you're talking about, because there are times where I feel like I don't know what to say right now. And so, but I do want you to know those things. I mean, sometimes I'll actually say those words too, but it's interesting hearing from you that actually it is effective, just looking at you with that sense of, I'm here with you.
Absolutely.
For you.
Body language is super powerful in those moments. And now there are also things that you can say, things that are on the positive side of the ledger that don't fall into that other category that can feel like nagging to a husband. There are things that you can say. And you can just notice the good things that he does, because the one person that your husband is down on the most in those moments is himself. Right?
That's important to remember that.
He's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Things didn't go right. Bad relationship, something happened at work, whatever it is, an appliance goes out, just another $300 out the window that he wasn't counting on, whatever it is, right? He's carrying this weight. And the person that he's most down on himself in those moments is himself. And he's not thinking about the wonderful contributions that he's making to the family, the wonderful contributions he's making to the children's lives, to your life as his wife, or to the community, to the church, to friends, the person that he truly is. And you can focus on some of those things and just say, you know what? You are such a great guy. Look at this thing that you did. Look how you played with the kids. Look how you lead our family, even in something as simple as just gathering around the table and praying together and giving thanks for God's provision, right? You can point out a wonderful life is actually made up of just a bunch of normal moments that are strung together. And they're so normal that a lot of the times the great normal things in life, we just kind of take for granted. These are things that you can point out and remind him that he is a good man, that there are good things in store, and that you are with him and you appreciate him at a deep, deep level.
I think that's an important point to make, because I do have wives write me and say, yeah, you know what? I actually don't feel like he's being a great guy right now. He's not going to church. He's not saying grace. He's not doing any of the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But if you can just pick out one small thing, and surely we can all pick out one small thing that he does do or has done that you appreciate about him, and start there and start that positive encouragement that can start a new cycle, a new
absolutely
fresh look on life.
And everybody's relationship is different. So the way this is going to be melded together is not going to look exactly the same from relationship to relationship. One of the things that we have seen in some friends is that when he's down, when he's feeling the weight of the world on his shoulder, he's pulling in, and she just steps out of the way and backs out of the circumstance. It could go on for 2-3 days. She just sort of gives him a wide berth.
Or even weeks.
Or weeks until he gets over it.
Yeah.
And, that's actually a mistake. That's not really walking through life together. And what he, and we even know him well, and what he wants is her to lean in, not with, again, all of the solutions and the trite answers, but to lean in with her heart, for him to know that she cares as well. And she actually does care deeply. It's just that
you've got to communicate.
You've got to communicate, right? Nobody knows that I care deeply. Lisa doesn't know that I deeply care until I communicate honestly and deeply with her that I do care. And so don't fall, if you're inclined to fall into that trap of just, well, I'm just going to withhold and pull back until he gets it together. That's not the right approach. He needs to know. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to do any major thing. Just communicate that you do care, that you are there, you're available, and that your heart is with him.
Yeah, I think that even just that simple saying of coming to him and saying, I see that you are going through a hard time, and I just want you to know that I'm here for you, and I'm praying for you.
I'm praying, absolutely.
And not demanding anything back from him, but just that simple, loving giving, I think is really can really lift him up at times of difficulty.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there are, and we hear from them from time to time, wives who are just not happy with where their husband is in the moment, or even months,
in the season,
months on
right,
end in the season, where he's not really living up to her expectations. I think you have a perspective on that.
Yeah, I just think you need to get rid of the spiritual list of those things that he should or shouldn't do to be a godly man and spiritual man. And a lot of times they're based on people either you see online or maybe you see in your church, and you just have this idea of, oh, he needs to be a Sunday school teacher, he needs to lead his family devotions every morning, he needs to be out serving the community and communicating that he just doesn't quite measure up, which of course doesn't help at all with however he's already feeling.
Absolutely. And so If you women, you wives out there, will cut me just a little bit of slack, or if you're single and listening, learn this particular little lesson. And I just want to speak kind of boldly and directly. And these are moments for you to back up and to be quiet, not to weigh in with this list of expectations that he's not measuring up to, but to back away and just let the Lord do his work, and you do your work on your knees, right? Mm-hmm. Praying and interceding to the Father in his behalf. But don't step into that void and become all of these things on this list that you feel he isn't being.
Right. All more than make up for everything you're not doing.
Stepping in and
that's a good point.
Taking the reins and running with it. Because I guarantee you something will happen, all right? And you will essentially grow in that role and strengthen yourself in that role, and he will withdraw. The more you do that, the more he'll withdraw. And that's not what you want, isn't it? Is it? I mean, your whole point was that you wanted him to be the spiritual leader and to step up. But he's not going to do it if you tell yourself, hey, in the meantime, I'll just fulfill this role and I'll lead the family.
I'll do enough for both of us. Right.
And it's the chuckle of recognition. We're kind of laughing about that because we've seen it so many times over and over and over again. And 100% of every time, the husband just withdraws and lets her run with it, and he's not going to compete for that role. So anyway, just a little aside there.
I appreciate hearing that.
I just hope you all embrace that. But you are such a powerful person, a powerful entity in the life of your husband, and you have such a powerful role to play.
Yeah, you don't realize it, but you have more than you think you do. And just even the way you love the Lord and you are full of joy and faithfulness, he'll notice that. He will see those things, and I believe it will encourage him over time.
And the fact of the matter is, Elisa and I are very realistic about the fact that it's easier to walk in godliness if your partner is walking
doing it,
in godliness. It's easier, all right? But the way I live or the way Lisa lives, that actually has no power in terms of me or her being a holy person, walking in holiness before God. We shouldn't need another person to act or live a certain way for us to walk in fullness and holiness before the Lord. And so the fact of the matter is, you can continue on in joy, having a tremendous testimony in the relationship, in your marriage. You can walk with God. You can walk in holiness, even if he's having a very difficult season. And so we just want to encourage you that you have a powerful testimony, and don't underestimate that power. You are playing a massive role in his life, a massive role in this season of discouragement that he's walking through, and the encouragement that you can bring. And just remember that a soft smile, a gentle word, and a song in your heart will have the strongest influence in the life of your husband. And that impact might not be immediately apparent, but it will have a huge impact, and God will use that. So hey, there it is, marriage weekend, right? And we just wanted to encourage you to be that encourager of your husband, and don't underestimate that powerful role that you have.
Yeah, so just going into the weekend, if your husband has been discouraged, or you could just tell he could use a little lifting up, here's some conversations that you can sit down and have with him and just ask him, what are some things I can do to help you when you are having a hard time? And are there certain things I can do or maybe not do, say or not say, that would bless and encourage you? Go ahead and just ask them, have that conversation, because even if you're not in a downtime now, assuming eventually he will have a hard time, it's good to have that conversation before you're even in that place.
Absolutely. It's good to put those things in place before game day. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really, really enjoyed this discussion, and we're really glad you're a part of it. It's really great to see the Faithful Life community growing, and people are responding and talking to us and sending us their thoughts and input, and it's been amazing, and we've really enjoyed it. Lisa and I have an ask for you. We just want to know if you would be willing to do something to help us. And that is, would you share this podcast on your social media accounts, all of them, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you happen to be on. It's as easy as just taking a screenshot and just uploading that and making a couple of comments about your involvement or enjoyment of the podcast. We just really appreciate that and are asking that all of our friends would help with that. So if that's something that you can do, thank you very much. And then we also want to be bold and just ask, would you write a review? If you're enjoying this podcast, would you just write a review, and whatever platform you're on, just upload that to the platform and let people know how you're enjoying the podcast, what you're getting out of it. Those are such powerful ways of communicating the content and letting people know how other people are enjoying the podcast. So if you would do that, we'd sure appreciate it. And thank you so much for those 5-star reviews that you've been putting up there. So thank you. And then one last thing. All right. So many people have asked us how they can be a part. Can they partner with us in ministry? Because the fact of the matter is we have needs in terms of keeping the financial wheels on the wagon of the podcast and the websites. There's actually a great deal of expense associated with all of this, and we're just trying to figure it out ourselves. So one of the ways that we've responded to that question is you can go to faithfulman.com. There is a donate button on the menu bar. You can just push the donate button, and then you're going to have an option for a monthly gift. And it doesn't matter what size that gift is. They all add up, and it's a powerful way that you can partner with us in helping to keep this enterprise moving forward. So thanks very much for being a part of all of this, and we really, really deeply appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Well, listen, you guys have a wonderful weekend together. God bless you, and He has a great couple of days ahead for you. So I hope you have a wonderful marriage weekend together.
All right, blessings.